now get into America's Talking with Statehouse Moments from across the country. In Michigan, State Representative Jason Wolford supported House Bill 5813 to provide more transparency for taxpayers around the state's Medicaid error rate.
I rise in support of House Bill 5813. This bill requires MDHHS to annually report Michigan's Medicaid error rate and improper payment rate to the public and this legislature. The purpose is simple: transparency. Transparency on nearly $20 billion. Michigan spends billions of taxpayer dollars through Medicaid every year. Taxpayers deserve to know how accurately those funds are being administered. Most importantly, the taxpayers as well. Far too long, error rates have been discussed internally while the public remains largely unaware of the scope of these improper payments. In 2021, federal audits have found Medicaid improper payment rates have exceeded nearly 20% nationally. And whether those payments result from fraud, administrative mistakes, or eligibility errors, taxpayers have the right to know. This bill does not reduce benefits, it doesn't cut funding, and it doesn't change eligibility. It simply requires reporting.
Now, a recent payment error rate results report from Michigan found areas for improvements in the overall issue. The ARC Michigan, they report the state had a 6.1% error rate for Medicaid. Now, for 2024, the national Medicaid improper payment rate for several states and several years was estimated at around 5%, and that translates to more than $31 billion in error rates. Now, is some of that fraud? Could be, but it could also just be simply an error. And as with the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program error rate, that includes whether or not there's overpayments or underpayments. Keep an eye on that out of Michigan and elsewhere. At the New York State Senate, debate was had about how that state goes about redistricting political maps. Republican New York State Senator Mario Matera, he criticized the measure that was in front of the assembly and the impact, he said, that it's going to have on taxpayers.
This bill is nothing but gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is dividing our country. It promotes safe seats that encourage politicians to pander to their bases that vote in low-turnout primary elections. Gerrymandering rigs general elections, dilutes the will of the voters, carves up communities with shared interests, and incentivizes polarization instead of collaboration, said Problem Solvers Caucus co-chairman Congressman Tom Suozzi. That just says it all. I guess nobody in this whole room did not talk to Congressman Tom Suozzi. You know, when I first got here, there it was for 2 years. Then all of a sudden, the 10 years that you have the seats, get changed. The district lines get changed. And you know what happens? It gets changed, and gerrymandering happened. We know what happened. You had to have the special masters that the taxpayers in New York State had to pay for gerrymandering. Company, there it was, out of Pennsylvania, guess what? That has to redraw lines.
Now, the issue of gerrymandering and legislative boundaries and congressional boundaries has very much been a hot topic this election year, with some states changing their maps and others not, but all in an effort to try to gain seats in Congress for one party over the other. In the Texas State House, Democratic State Representative Christian Manuel, he questioned a measure that was being debated that would look to fine local governments who don't remove certain ordinances from their books. Manuel said that's just going to mean more taxpayer costs for the city to pay fines out of taxpayer resources to the state.
I don't understand why we're taking a precedent of putting fines that are going to be put off on taxpayers, and they already feel like people in government aren't listening to them. Now, I'm not saying that the mask mandate was perfect. I'm not saying that everybody did everything perfect during COVID. We know they didn't. We know some people do like to go to a pulpit and they like to put their brand of justice on everybody. I get that. I understand reining that in. I personally do, right or left. But my biggest issue is, why are we punishing the people who literally don't have anything to do with that? and their cities are already cash-strapped. They can't just increase taxes anymore without getting another additional fine. And we're doing this because they have ordinances that are on the books. I'm trying to see how it's not hypocritical that we can have these laws and we're not going to fine ourselves, but we will fine these cities and we will make their constituency pay for them. But then I'm also wondering how are they going to pay that if they can't increase the taxes because we made that illegal this past session. So I'm not seeing how this is helping.
And to get away a little bit from debates around certain types of policies impacting taxpayers, in the California Senate, a taxpayer advocacy group was honored on the Senate floor.
Joining me today to celebrate California Taxpayers Association's 100th anniversary are Robert Gutierrez, President of the California Taxpayer Association, and John Schmalak, Chair of CalTax Board of Directors. CalTax is California's oldest and largest taxpayer advocacy organization and has been advocating for sound tax policy and government efficiency since 1926. Organizations like CalTax play an important role in ensuring that taxpayer dollars are spent responsibly and tax policies are fair and predictable for all Californians. CalTax was founded on nonpartisan and non-political principles so the association could bring about the greatest possible economies consistent with efficiency in the collection and expenditure of public monies. CalTax has always supported policies that promote transparency, fairness, and accountability in tax laws. This includes one of their earliest victories in which they played a key role in legislation that required counties to prepare formal budgets, providing transparency for all Californians.
And that's just some of what's happening in the past week at state houses all across the country. Get your state and national newsletters by signing up for free at thecentersquare.com. From my studios in Central Illinois, I'm Greg Bishop. You can join us back here Monday for more stories impacting you, the taxpayer, from all around the country, only with the Center Square Daily.